Hello viewers, welcome to my channel once again. The last subject on our list that we are going to treat is syllabus today is biology. So follow this video carefully and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos. In our previous videos, we have discussed use of English syllabus, physics syllabus, chemistry syllabus, and the final one here is biology syllabus. So let us go. The first topic in biology here is living organism. Under living organism, we have things like characteristic of living things, which is Mr. D, where M stands for movement, respiration, irritability, growth, excretion, reproduction, and so on. So it's very necessary to read and understand them. And here we have cell structure and function of cell components. When talking about cell structure, for example, from the structure of cell, we have plant cell as well as animal cell. So other plant cell, you may see things like nucleus, cytoplasm, mitochondria, all those things, cell membrane. Then when you go to animal cell, you may see exactly and some other organelles that are present in animal cell. Then here we talk of level of organization, where we talk of cell, tissues, organ, and system. So they are very necessary to understand, to learn and understand them. Then here we talk of cell, and organisms under cell are Egglina, Paramecium, Amoeba, and some others. Then here we talk of tissues, where we have epithelial tissues and hydra. Then we talk of organ, for example, onion bulb is an organ. Then we talk of system. We have different types of system. We have reproductive system, digestive system, excretory system, circulatory system, and so many of them. Then we talk of organisms. When talking about living organism, for example, we have Chlamydomonas here. Even you are a living organism. So here you are expected to read and understand basic tips from these aspects, so that whenever you see questions related to this in your JAMB, you're able to answer them successfully. Then when we move on, we have evolution among the following. One of them is structural, functional, and behavioral adaptations of organisms. We have adaptive colorations and its function, behavior. Then we're talking about evolution in organism. We have, for example, if you go to plants, evolution of plants starts from schizophyta, followed by talophyta, followed by bryophyta, followed by pteridophyta, and followed by spermatophyta. And spermatophyta is divided into angiosperm and gymnosperm. When talking about angiosperm, they are the ones that can produce seed through ovary, or they are the ones that have ovary. Then when talking about gymnosperm, they produce their own fruit as cone, that is fruit that is exposed to the world, or fruit that is not covered. Then when we move on to the animal, we have a vertebrate animal and invertebrate animal. Other vertebrate evolution of animals, we talk of mollusca, annelida, arthropoda, insecta, coelenterata, and so many of them. For example, if you go to arthropoda, they are divided into four. We have insecta, we have myropoda, we have arachnida, and so many of them. So it is very, very important to learn and understand them before the day of your examination. Then if we move on from section B here, the one we have discussed so far is section A. The one we have discussed so far is section A. Then when we go to section B, the first topic there is internal structure of flowering plants. Then you're talking about internal structure of flowering plant. For example, flamboyant flower. We have so many internal structures. We have things like anther, we have stigma, we have ovule, and so many of them. So it's very important to learn and understand them. Then we talk of root system, we talk of stem, and we talk of leaf. So this one, they are also very, very important. Here is the internal structure of a mammal. Internal structure of mammal. From mammalian, when talking about internal structure, we'll be talking about skeletal system, nervous system, and so many of them. So they are very important. Then when we move on, here is topic 2. This topic 2 is talking about nutrition. And when talking about nutrition literally means feed. And we have different ways of feeding, which are known as modes of nutrition. One of them is autotrophic feeding, in which organisms manufacture their own food. For example, plants. By the process called photosynthesis, plants manufacture their food, make use of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight through chlorophyll. So that is an example of autotrophic feeding. Then we take heterotrophic or holozoic feeding. This type of feeding, organisms totally depends directly or indirectly on other organisms for their survival. For example, we animals, we depend on plants directly or indirectly for our food. Then under this category, we have different 4 ways of feeding. In heterotrophic, we have herbivores, we have carnivorous, we have omnivorous, and we have scavengers. When talking about herbivorous animals, they are the animals that feed on grasses. Then we're talking about carnivores, they are the ones that feed on flesh. Omnivores, they feed on both flesh and grass. Then we're talking about scavengers, they are the ones that feed on decay animals or something like that. Then here we talk of types of nutrition. While plant nutrition is the one I've explained so far, so everything here have been explained. Then when we move on, we talk of transport system. We have transport system in plant as well as transport system in animal. When talking about transport system, is the process of transporting digested food materials from the area of synthesis to the area where it is functioning. For example, in animal, through circulatory system, the digested food will be transferred in form of glucose or in form of protein from one place to another through blood. And also in plant, there is transport system. And the material for transportation, they are very necessary. Excretory products, gases, manufactured food, digested food, nutrient, water, and hormones. And here we talk of hormones. So you should make sure you understand them very well before the day of your examination, because you'll be expecting a lot of questions from this category. If we move further, we have mammalian circulatory system, which is the one we have explained so far. We have heart, we have arteries, we have veins, and we have capillaries. So learn and understand them. Plant vascular system, we have phloem and xylem. When phloem transport water from one place to another in plant, then xylem transfer manufactured food to the area that need food in plants. Then we talk of media and processes mechanism of transportation in both plants and animals. These places you have to read them and understand. Then if we move on, number 4, we talk of respiration. When talking about respiration, is the exchange of gases between living organism and the environment. For example, living organism take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Then here we talk of respiratory organs. What are the respiratory organs from the lower animals to the higher animals? For example, if you go to animals like amoeba, paramecium, what is their respiratory organ? Then if you go to higher animals like human being, what is their respiratory organ? So it's very necessary to learn this topic and understand previous to the day of your examination. Then here, number B says the mechanism of gaseous exchange in plants and mammals. We have aerobic respiration, which is the one that requires oxygen, and we have anaerobic respiration, which is the one that doesn't require oxygen. The one that doesn't require oxygen, for example, fermentation of glucose, which forms C2H5OH, known as alkanol, and carbon dioxide. No, in that process, oxygen is not required. And for example of aerobic respiration is breathing in mammals. For example, we take in oxygen as stated earlier, and this oxygen is helped in the digestion of glucose, which is the end product of carbohydrate in our body. Then move further. This topic 5 is talking about excretion, which is the removal of metabolic waste from our body. And we have types of excretory structures. We have contractile vacuole, which are present in organisms like amoeba, paramecium, and glina. Then we have flame cells that are present in I think earthworm, right? Then we have nephridium. Nephridium is present in earthworm. Then we have malpighian tubules that are present in insects. Then we talk of kidney that are present in mammal. When talking about kidney, is divided into glomerulus and Bowman capsule, where one serves as ultrafiltration and one serves as selective reabsorption. Then here we talk of stomata and lenticel, which are present in plant. Then excretory mechanisms. In this place, you have to understand kidneys, you have to understand lungs. Skin is another organ that excretes sweat and urea and others. Then here we talk of excretory product of plants as well as excretory product in animal. In topic 6, we talk of support and movement. Here you have to understand skeletal system and all forms of skeleton. We're talking about skeletal system, it is divided into axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. When talking about axial skeleton is made up of a skull, vertebral column, sternum, and ribs. Then when talking about appendicular skeleton, it is contain pelvic girdles and pectoral girdles. So you have to learn and understand them. Here we talk of tropic, static, nastic, sleep movements in plants. When one responds towards the stimulus, one responds away from the stimuli. Then here we talk of nastic movement. We talk of static. You just have to read them. They are very simple to understand. Then here we talk of supporting tissues in animals. When talking about supporting tissues in animal, they are very, very simple. For example, you have to understand what tissues is. Then you should also know how they support animal. So see here is types and functions of the skeleton. We have exoskeleton and endoskeleton. We're talking about exo, which is the one that is found in outer part of an organism. For example, insects contain exoskeleton. Then we're talking about endoskeleton. It's the type of skeleton that is found in the inner part of an organism. For example, higher organisms like mammals. Then here we talk of functions of a skeleton without being told. We know that skeleton provides support, protection to the body. Then when we move on, we talk of reproduction. There are two types of reproduction. We have sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. First of all, what is reproduction? Is the act of replicating of an organism, or the process whereby an organism duplicate directly or indirectly. Then talking about sexual reproduction, it requires coming together of two organisms to give birth. Then we're talking about asexual reproduction, it requires only one organism to reproduce. Under asexual reproduction, we have things like binary fission, we have things like fragmentation, we have things like budding. Budding occurs in organisms like Hydra. Then here we talk of meaning of growth. We're talking about growth. You can see that growth is the irreversible increase in protoplasm of cell, and protoplasm that contain nucleus and cytoplasm. So it's very necessary to understand this growth. Though we can say that growth is the irreversible increase in mass and weight, but that is the old definition. You have to define it scientifically by saying that it's the irreversible increase in mass and weight in protoplasm of cell of an organism. We talk of germination of seeds and condition. We have hypogene germination and epigene germination. When hypogene germination is the one in which the cotyledon remain inside the soil. Then when talking about epigene germination is the one that the cotyledon come out of the soil and divide into two or more. Then example of hypogene germination is maize. Epigene germination is beans. Then here we talk of necessary factors necessary for germination of seed. We have suitable temperature, rainfall, and so many of them. Then when we move further, we have topic 9, which is coordination and control. Under coordination and control, we have nervous coordination, the component structures and functions of the central nervous system. Then in that places you have to learn things like dendrite, axon, all those which so they are very simple. Here we talk of the components and functions of the peripheral nervous system. mechanisms of transmission of impulses, and finally we talk of hormones. You have to understand this hormone very well. We have different forms of hormone. We have hormone which we know as thyroid, we have parathyroid, we have pituitary, we have adrenaline, and so many of them. Learn them and know their function. What's another one called oxytocin, which is also known as love hormone, you know. Then we move further. Section C, we talk of ecology. You know, the definition of ecology is very simple. Then topic 1 under this section, so you have factors affecting the distribution of organisms, and we have biotic and abiotic factor. We're talking about abiotic factor here. It is a non-living components that affect the living organism. For example, temperature, rainfall, humidity. Then in this place we have things like edaphic, which is factors of soil that affect living organisms. Then we have biotic factors. Under biotic factors, we have things like symbiosis, parasitism, we have a predator, and so many of them. So we have to learn and understand them. When you move further now, we have topic 2, which is known as symbiotic interactions of plants and animals. How do plants and animals interact? It's very simple. Especially when you are using this college biology, you get to know that all these things are well explained there. So it is recommendable to go and buy whether college biology, or you can use lab biology as well. Then if we move further, we have natural habitat. When talking about habitats, it's a dwelling place where living organisms live. And we have different types of habitats. We have aquatic habitats, which organisms that live in water. We have arboreal, the one that live in air or on tree, and we have a terrestrial, which is on land. So learn and understand them very well. Topic 4 under this section is local biomes. Then we talk of tropical rainforest. We have Guinea savanna, we have Sudan savanna, desert, and so many of them. You should learn them and know their characteristics. Which one contain tall trees, which one contain grasses, which one contain high amount of rainfall, which one contain low amounts of rainfall. So it is very, very necessary to learn and understand them under this topic. Then when we move further, which is topic 5, we talk of the ecology of population. You know what ecology is. Here you learn some things like population density, population size, and so many of them. Then we talk of soil. Try to learn and understand soil. What different types of soil? We have loamy soil, we have clay soil, we have sandy soil. Which one have high porosity? Which one have can retain water? Which one cannot retain water? So it's very necessary to differentiate them under this topic. Number 7, we have humans and environment. Is very, very simple. Learn them. Section D, we talk of heredity and variation. When talking about heredity, you know what heredity is? Let's say it is the inheritable character from your parents. That is what heredity is. And when talking about variation, we can simply say that variation is the contractions in character or the change in characters in the generation of an organism. Then we have variation in population, very simple. Then topic 2 under this section, we have heredity. Then we have evolution. There are 3. We have Lamarck's theory, we have Darwin's theory, and we have organic theory. Then when we move on to the final topics here, which are evidence of evolution, which one of the evidence of evolution is comparative anatomy. We have embryology, we have fossil records, and so many of them. And I think that is the end of this video. So if you find this video interesting, consider subscribing to our channel for our upcoming useful videos.